3, 2, 1, action.
Hello. Today I'm in Inverness with some geography researchers who are claiming that Inverness is a Scottish city. So what leads you to the conclusion that Inverness is a Scottish city?
Well, it's a bit of a tough question originally. Originally we thought it would be a multicultural city because of the type of shops that are here. You've got a lot of chain shops like Superdrug, you've got a McDonald's, you've got a Boots, you've got an array of different shops, pharmacies and food restaurants which you would typically see in other regions. However, with closer inspection we noticed that looking at the demographic, it's more so white Caucasian, and we also found that in terms of the people that come into the city for tourism and stuff, it's roughly 1 million on average a year, as opposed to Edinburgh, which is 3.6, and Glasgow, which is 2.5 million. So that kind of speaks volumes to itself as to why it's not as multicultural as other Scottish cities, because they're having less people come in. And based upon today, like, there don't seem to be that many different cultures, well, different demographics, but saying that, there's still your Chinese restaurants, your Indian restaurants, your Italian restaurants, so they're still incorporated the different cultures, but as a whole, in terms of demographic, I'd argue that it's more so Scottish based and based upon the amount of people coming into the area.
Thank you for that answer. It's a very full answer. Many thanks indeed. Could I just move on to the next question? Could I ask you, what is it about the place we're standing? I realise that this isn't necessarily representative of what you want, but if you could just describe to me what it is about the general area that is supporting this view.
Yes, Christine. Well, if you look at the Victorian market we're in, there's a lot of traditional shops which represent the nature of Inverness as a whole. But I think if we look at the wider picture, including the transport links to Inverness, it's very difficult to access Inverness from the rest of the UK. For example, a train ticket and a train journey to London from here will cost over £100 and take between 10 and 11 hours. So and I think that's very much reflected in the local nature of shops and businesses here.
Thank you very much indeed for that. But what I've noticed is that there are a variety of different cultures here. For example, there's a tandoori shop just not round the corner, and also different curry houses. So how does that to support your argument, or do you have any way to circumvent that?
Well, while we were studying the area around Inverness, we looked into the religious buildings that were in the area, and we noticed the only other religious building that wasn't a church was a Muslim community centre, or an Islamic community centre, and there wasn't anything for Jewish, Hinduism or any other religions apart from Christianity. So it was a bit strange for such a big city to have something like that compared to other areas, whereas if you go to Wolverhampton or Birmingham or even other areas in Scotland like Glasgow or Edinburgh, you'll usually get these religious buildings in those areas, whereas they weren't present in Inverness. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Now I have one final question which I'd like to put to all of you. It is that how in the future do you think Inverness can maintain its position as a Scottish city?
Well, I believe it needs to introduce more sustainable transport links to try and make it easier to access cities such as Edinburgh, Glasgow and the rest of Scotland without compromising its individual heritage.
Thank you very much. Have you got anything that you want to add?
I was going to say, obviously you've got the castle and you've got other Scottish features around here, landscape features, which I could maybe promote and advertise as a way of getting people in who maybe don't want to come into the city itself. They'd rather maybe go to a more rural area outside of the city, and then that might also bring them in if they want a snack or bite or a drink or something. So,
thank you very much indeed. Is there anything that you'd like to put to this? Thank you.
I was just going to add that if the people within Inverness keep their heritage and culture within their shops, within the way their buildings are built and the way they act as an entire populace, that would help keep the city's culture and keep it as a Scottish city.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you very much indeed for that charming interview. But I think that's all that needs to be said, and back to Nick.
What did you forget to mention?
Yes.